Hey guys, it's Lee Taylor. That's the 2021 Volkswagen T-Cross 85 TSI Style, and this is a Right Lane review. Volkswagen has always been at the forefront of making great urban cars, and with the popularity of the pint-sized Highrider, VW created the T-Cross. With a shared platform from the Polo and Audi A1, the T-Cross aims to be economical, practical, and check all the right boxes. So when I drove the T-Cross about a year ago, I wasn't overly impressed. It just felt a bit clunky and not well calibrated. But since then, Volkswagen's taken quite a bit of time to develop the car a bit further. They've added some packages, a few styling cues, and they've slotted it in directly below some great competitors like the Puma and the Yaris Cross. So the question now is, has the T-Cross matured? So I guess the short answer would be yes. When I drove this car a year ago, I wasn't impressed, mainly because it just didn't feel complete. I drove a couple of the launch editions and they were just a bit, I just didn't feel like they were at home or not well calibrated. The gearboxes didn't really talk very well and they just were all over the place. But this particular car feels rather good in hand, and while it still has some of the gearbox quirks of a dual clutch, particularly when dealing with the stop-start system, it's not bad and it feels nice to drive. And with the stop-start system, my main thing is just turn it off in this car because it confuses the gearbox. So if you're at a set of lights or a slow speed and the engine shuts down and restarts again, sometimes it seems like the transmission and the computer don't talk to each other very well, so the car just lags or doesn't respond at all, which is the worst possible thing that you can have happen in a roundabout or at an intersection when you're trying to get going. So for me, I just turn it off and that avoids most of the problems. But overall, the car's got a nice little character to it. It's easy to drive. It's nice and square stance, and the wheels are pushed out at the corners, so it's easy to park to, easy to see out of because you sit up nice and high. And the car is at home in an urban environment. And driving it around urban Melbourne this week, it's been nice to have. Pleasant, easy, perky, great to drive, a bit of fun as well, and it's nice and playful. Dynamically, the T-Cross is actually pretty good. It's a typical Volkswagen product, so it's comfortable at nearly any speed. It's not unstable. Even with the wheels pushed out the corners, it actually makes it feel a bit more athletic. And it's not an athlete, don't get me wrong. There's nothing athletic about this car, but it feels confident in the way it drives and the way it maneuvers, and you're never gonna be out of place. You have a 1-liter 3-cylinder turbocharged engine stuck out front, driving the front wheels all through a 7-speed dual clutch gearbox, and it makes about 85 kilowatts and 200 newton meters of torque, which is pretty standard for this class of car. It's the same output as the Yaris Cross and the Puma. But this car seems to deliver it a little bit more fluidly than the others. The Yaris Cross is a bit more torquey thanks to the electric motors, and the Puma is nice and athletic as well, but the Volkswagen seems to have a bit of refinement that you don't get with the other two, which I appreciate, but that's typical German for you. Overall, the driving experience in the car is nice and pleasant. I would happily spend time in here, and even with the room in the back, you could actually take some friends around and also be rather comfortable. There's tons of safety tech, blind spot monitors, forward collision warning, the normal high beam assist, you name it, the car's probably got it, and you can add the driver assistance package on as well, which includes adaptive cruise control. And their adaptive cruise control system is one of the better ones in the segment. The only one better, in my opinion, would be the one that Hyundai offers with Hyundai Safety Sense. So overall, it's a cracking package. So how's the cockpit in the new T-Cross? Well, from the driver's seat, it's actually a quite good place to be. You sit nice and high in the sporty S seats, and this steering wheel is part of the R-Line package, and it feels nice in hand, nice leather wrapped. This car also has the Sound and Vision pack, which means you get a gorgeous digital driver's display. Volkswagen Group does one of the best in the business. Beats audio sound system as well, which is pretty powerful. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are standard on this car, even though the screen is skewed away from the driver, and you also get some gesture controls that work okay. You get a wireless charging pad in the middle, as well as park assist, and overall the trim in the car is really nice. In this R-Line you get this kind of what they call motorsports flag sort of effect. It just looks like a bunch of R's put together, but it looks nice. And the seats are trimmed in this Alcantara, and they're all in individual pattern. It's a good place to be, all in all. My one gripe though is that there's not an option for a sunroof. So how's life in the back of the T-Cross? Well, it's actually quite comfortable thanks to a nice square body. I have plenty of knee and leg room, plenty of head and shoulder room, and seats are quite comfortable as well. And they're trimmed in the same trimmings as the front seats, so they look pretty good. You have a couple of USB points, a coat hanger for coat or purse or whatever, but actually no cup holders or center armrest, which is a little bit of a letdown, but I forgive it considering how comfortable it is. So how's the boot in the back of the T-Cross? Well, it's actually pretty good. Being a nice and square car means you can get boxes in and out pretty easily, and there's plenty of space. The load floor is nice and tall, and when you pick it up, you can hold it on these nice tabs, and then there's plenty of space underneath for anything else, along with a spare tire. And you do get fold down seats just in case you need bigger items. I reckon it's probably got more space than the Puma and definitely more usable. So what's the tops and bottoms and final verdict on the 2021 Volkswagen T-Cross? Well, little T-Cross is actually a pretty good little package, but there are a few niggly things. One is the fact that these little cars, while fairly affordable at $31,300, when you start adding packs, they do start adding up. The dual clutch gearbox in this car is for the most part well calibrated, but it can be kind of clunky around town, which is a common issue with this particular type of SUV, particularly when it's paired up with the start-stop system. And that stop-start system, despite being good on the open road, is not that great around town. It just confuses the gearbox, which means you just get stuck at weird places and the car doesn't go, and it's just turn it off. So what's on top for the T-Cross? Well, it's a fantastic little package, I think, and the styling has actually grown on me, particularly in this Reflex Silver and this R-Line package. And talking about packages, it's a well-packaged car. It's a good size, it can easily fit around in urban environments, easy to park, easy to see out of, and interior-wise, it looks top-notch. I mean, it's Volkswagen, and considering the price point, pretty good deal. And that driver's display, beautiful. So what's my final verdict on the 2021 Volkswagen T-Cross? Well, I think the incremental improvements that VW has made, particularly to this platform, are really showing, and it's a great car for the urban Australian environment. So if you're after a small SUV and you don't want to spend too much, definitely check out the T-Cross. Wait for people.